Hey everyone, Brad here, and thanks for joining me today. What we're going to be going through today is answering a lot of your questions based on where should I be spending my time with marketing. So I had shot a video a little while back. It was a little bit blurry. Something went wrong with the image. So I'm going to make sure that I have it a little bit more presentable for you guys, as well as you'll be able to download a copy for your reference. So what we're really going to be doing today is talking about should we be doing Facebook? Should we be getting referrals or word of mouth? Should we be on the stage presenting to a group of people to get new patients for our practice? And what you're going to find is there's a lot of information out there. And depending who you're asking, who you're talking to, you're going to get people who are saying, you should be in the newspaper. You should only be doing Facebook. You should only be doing this and that. The reality is that there should be a strategy for every single piece. And depending where you are in your health practice really tells us where we should be focusing. So what I'm going to do is share with you how I set up my overall campaigns and strategy for my practice, as well as the other clients that I work with. So to give you a little bit more insight and give you some direction in terms of where you should be focusing on spending your time and efforts right now, and ultimately maybe where we should be aspiring to as we grow. So this is going to give you a lot more clarity in terms of where you should be focusing your time, and it'll allow you to discount all the people who are saying focus on Instagram or TikTok this week or whatever the new trend is, and you're going to have a lot more ability to be able to block those things out and focus on what you need to be doing right now. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys, and what we're going to see here is we're going to see what our basic program. So the New Patient Search essentially is a program that we install for health practices to get generally 20 to 30 new patients per month on autopilot without cheesy marketing tactics, spending more on advertising and wasting money, or discounting your services. So what we're going to be really focusing on today is looking at the attraction system right here. So this attraction, I'll draw another one there. The attraction system is, after we've got our foundation set up, we're getting into the growth, we're able to start attracting the right types of patients. And when we're doing this here, we've got to make sure that we're having a couple things in place, and these all come down to marketing strategies. So it's important to know where we are in the grand scheme of things here. So if we look over here, this is what we call the Omnipresence Marketing for health practices. And really what it is combining online, offline, and partnerships. And each one of these are focused on a different strategy and different tactics that ultimately get you to have new patients coming in from different sources. So Dan Kennedy, famous marketer, I spent a lot of time with his work and courses and so on. And his biggest thing that he says is the most dangerous number in business is one. Having one way to get new clients, one onboarding method, one offer, and one way to convert people and so on. So what we really want to do is have multiple streams of patients coming in. So where people get often very confused is they think they need to do all of it at once. And what we're going to take a look at today is, depending where you are in your health practice, we're going to be able to say, you should be focusing on this one right now. And when that one gets to be generating the amount of patients that we need, or we hit specific goals, then we can focus on the next one. So where you are starting right now, you might be looking here saying, I need to do Facebook and Instagram. But the reality is we might actually need to be focusing on events and workshops, for example. I'm just kind of giving you in context, not saying that's specifically for you, so you're going to have to stay tuned here. But the real big objective here is you've got a blend of paid and free, as well as online and offline. So what happens is a lot of health practice owners that I work with, they'll either focus on word of mouth only, which means you don't really have control over your business. You're waiting for other people to give you referrals. Super dangerous. You're going to get inconsistencies in your lead flow patients, and you're going to have dry spells. So often what you'll find is when people go away on vacations, Christmas holidays, or during the summer, you're going to have peaks and valleys, and that's going to affect your income. It's going to affect how many patients are actually getting the best results possible, and so on. So what we want to do generally over the course of 12 months is install each one of these campaigns so that you have what we call evergreen flow of new patients. And what evergreen really means is that I've got something set up where I know I can get maybe 5 to 10 new patients from this source, 5 to 10 from this source, 5 to 10 from here, and so on. So I know every month when I'm walking in, I basically have new prospects, new patients starting to fill the gaps for other people, which is going to allow me to have something that's bringing patients that are on autopilot. So it's going to eliminate completely the confusion, the overwhelm, and really wondering where the next people are going to come from. Or my Facebook ads are not working. Okay, well, for some reason, something goes wrong with Facebook. Maybe your account gets banned. There are a lot of different things I hear. Well, you've still got AdWords, or you've still got a partnership that's generating you patients. So this model here is what we call Omnipresence again. And Omnipresence is really part of our attraction module that we're looking at in the new patient search program. So if you want to learn more about that, you'll be able to visit the link below, and we'll talk a little bit about it at the end of the video here. So what I want you guys to do is we're going to take a look at this section here. Sorry. And what we're going to be doing is drawing out, just make sure it's sharing here. So what we're going to be doing is drawing 4 quadrants. And how I look at where people should be starting with their marketing-based practice of their health practice is 4 sections. The top one here, we've got the less skill set. Down here, we've got most skill. And what this refers to is things that are really easy, you don't have to be very skilled to do, and can be implemented right away. Most skill set, you need a little bit more either connections, network, or you need to have more technical ability to be able to do stuff. Over here, we've got, I hit the right one, is most expensive, and over here, least expensive. So all the things that are down here are going to be relatively cheap or free. Over here is going to cost a lot more money. Again, we've got less skill set, most skill set. So when we look at all of the things that are on here, we can place them into these categories. So where I like to start with people, even if they've got solo practice and they're just starting out, or they've been in business for a long period of time and they've got a massive clinic that's doing 7 figures plus, is I always like to focus over here. Very little skill set and is basically cheap. And what we do here is we focus on referrals and reactivation. So referrals and reactivation basically cost nothing and require very little skill set. So assuming that you're getting good results with patients, you've got a process where they're coming in and they're getting good results, they're happy with you and they enjoy the environment, it's going to be very easy for you to be able to get referrals. So having a referral system in place is a quick and easy way to generate new patients per month. On average, I see generally about 10 to 15 referrals per month just on autopilot where patients come in and bring people in. So obviously you've got to have a system in place in order to get these patients trained and understanding why they need to refer to you in the first place, and ultimately the importance of it, why it grows your business, and so on, and making them a part of the culture. We talk a little bit about that in the other modules of the new patient search, and there's a couple other articles you can read on the site. But having a referral strategy in place that puts referrals on autopilot can guarantee that you've got new patients coming in, which has a huge benefit in mainly 2 things. One, it actually decreases your lead costs, because if every single patient brings in a referral, you now have decreased your acquisition cost of that patient in half. So if it costs me $100 on Facebook to get 1 patient to come in and pay, and they bring me a referral, well, now all of a sudden that's at $50. The next thing is you end up getting people who are already, they already know about you. So they know, like, and trust you. They've gotten some in because their friend or colleague or whoever's working with you has already been vouching for you. So chances are you're going to get someone who's going to come in, they're more acclimated to buy and convert right away because someone's vouching for you, and they're less price sensitive, meaning they're going to be fighting less with you over maybe prescribing them 12 sessions or 18 sessions or charging $200 an appointment as opposed to $100. So referrals, absolutely got to have a strategy. It's the first step that I always focus on with people. The second thing on here is reactivation. So there's 2 things in here. There's prospects, and what that means is you want to reactivate prospects who inquired about your services before but maybe didn't book. And what happens is sometimes someone might have back pain and they opted in to learn a little bit more, and for some reason they got busy, they missed your phone call, whatever happened, or maybe their back pain went away and they didn't think it was that big of a deal. So what we want to do is reactivate these past people who've inquired and didn't book appointments for whatever reason. And there's a bunch of different ways. I like to be able to use like a nine-word email. There's an article in the group as well as the website that talks a little bit about the strategy on implementing that. And there's a couple other things that we go through in the modules of the new patient search program that gets new patients or get these past prospects to come in to be new patients. 9-word email is a great way to be able to automate. If you've got a CRM-based system, you can easily send that email out. You don't even need to do anything at all. We like to layer it and have an email go to the front desk so the front desk can call them and actually follow up with them in the 9-word email style fashion, except it's a 9-word call. We also use direct mail. We've used text messages and so on. And a 9-word can be something as, hey, Brad, are you still interested in overcoming low back pain so you can get back to running? Just a question that's looking for a specific answer. Another strategy that we use is sometimes we'll have case studies where we are doing a specific base program. So one thing that we like to get for people who've inquired about therapy is we actually get them to come in for therapy as well as integrate it with a training or exercise-based option. So for those people who've inquired about running, for example, we would have a 6-week running-based program that includes therapy and training. So we'd send out a case study and see, are you interested in being able to run pain-free this season? These are the specifications. Let us know if you're interested. So those are 2 strategies that you can use to reactivate past prospects. And the other thing is, obviously, we've got past patients. So you want to make sure that you've got your past patients being reactivated. So sometimes people fall off. They get busy, they move away, work comes up, life comes up, we forget to call them, we got busy, whatever happens. Ideally, as your systems get automated and you've got these follow-up systems in place, less of that happens. But ultimately, these patients have already know, like, and trust you. They've invested in your services, and they're more than likely going to be a better quality person to come back. And often just sending them a quick message to getting them back on track is crucial. I like to have a little bit more personalized approach for this. Again, I might use a 9-word email-based follow-up, might do one of our service calls. These are things that we talk about in the over-deliver phase of the new patient search. And often like a front desk or an administrative person would do these types of things. If you're a solo practitioner, you can do it yourself. But ultimately, you want to get these patients to come back in. So these are 2 strategies that cost nothing, basically, and are very little skill set. Because all you really have to do is copy exactly what I told you or follow the articles of the 9-word, and more than likely you'll get some people back. So the next thing that we've got that costs a little bit of money but doesn't require too much skill set is we've got workshops and seminars. So what that is you being able to cultivate a grouping of people, generally with a specific problem, and getting them all together in order to give them information and move them along in their journey to obviously booking and continuing with you. So workshops and seminars are really powerful because it takes the one-to-one approach of being able to talk to people here and doing a consult and basically giving an entire consultation or discovery visit, or whatever you refer to it as, to a grouping of people who are interested with the same types of problems. And what you'll end up getting is you're pre-filtering a bunch of people in a group, and you're going to get other people who are maybe on the fence, not quite sure. They're going to be around other people that feel like the same thing. So one big tip here is make sure that when you're running a workshop or seminar, that it's for something very specific and a specific condition, a specific issue, and a specific person. So you don't want to just say overcoming low back pain. You're better off to say overcoming low back pain for runners, or how to improve your shoulder, how to improve your shoulder pain with 3 exercises so you can get back to golfing. The more specific you can be, the more that you're going to have the tighter knit niche or market of people that you're trying to attract. And this goes into who is your actual avatar, some of the other workshops that we've covered before. So once we know who it is, it's easier to put together a workshop. So workshops, they require a little bit more skill set because you've got to spend a bit of time preparing for them. I generally say 2 to 3 weeks at least you've got to spend putting everything together, marketing it to your current patients, to your past prospects that inquired, and obviously you can use social channels and so on to be able to drive traffic in as well. I like to give invites or passes to current patients who are coming in so that they can get colleagues, friends, family, and so on. And why it costs a little bit more is doesn't need to cost tons of money, but we generally spend, $50 to $100 on average, getting some food, getting some other materials together, like we print booklets and other stuff. So that way, ultimately, people feel a little bit more VIP experience, and we can market that. We also like to give away some sessions and stuff like that in order to incentivize people to show up, as well as, they've got to be there in order to win it. One quick tip is that when you're building your community, we also go to coffee shops and food places or barbecue places close by, where we would get a bunch of stuff donated, and ultimately people come for food, and it helps give exposure to the community as well. So workshops and seminars are really good. If you're just starting out your business, these two things here are going to be able to get you to a position where you're able to have your own practice right away. If you're just starting out in your practice, you should be able to generate quite a few patients just by doing these two things alone. Three things, I guess, technically, if you've got referrals or activation and workshops. So again, doesn't cost much money, doesn't require too much skill set. As long as you're following the proven templates, you're able to do this and get really good results. We had one massage therapist, that's solely what she does. She does post-pregnancy massage, and what she'll do is have a workshop every single month and generally have 12 to 20 people who are coming in, and she'll close people off of that program and generally get $8,000 to $12,000 a month, depending on what she's offering. Every single month she does this, of new patients coming into her practice. So she solely does workshops and gets a couple of people in from other sources. So the next thing that we've got over here is, it's a little bit more expensive, but not crazy, and it requires a little bit more skill set, is where I'm going from of the social media advertising. So it's going to be Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and so on. So it doesn't really cost that much money in order to create the audience, but it's a little bit more skill set that you need in order to be able to write the right types of ads, target the right audiences, doing some retargeting. So a lot of this type of stuff is a little bit more technical based. Again, it's not super challenging, but there are changes and algorithm things that you need to be aware of in order to stay on top and make sure you're getting the consistent leads and so on that go on. There's also a lot of staying on top of that and understanding where you are right now and what type of campaigns you should be running. So in a subsequent video I posted a month back, I'm going to be updating it in the next week or two, of what campaigns should you be utilizing on Facebook and what are the objectives of each. So sometimes people, what they do is just post, here's my massage therapy, here's my physiotherapy business, sign up. And the reality is that if you're trying to target everyone, you're going to get a lot of people you're kind of saying message to no one. So you're going to get a lot of people who are maybe sitting on the fence, not the best quality, you're going to spend way more money and so on. So these need to be a lot more strategic based, and you need to have a different objective in mind and understand what type of campaign that you're setting up. So these ones here, they're really beneficial, but you've got to do them right, and you got to do them right at the right time in your practice. So if you're doing awareness-based campaigns when you're just starting out, that's a complete waste of time. There's way better ways to be able to build your audience and get people aware of you. That's going to provide more value, filter the group of people so you're getting the ideal patients and at a good rate. If you're doing awareness and you've got a massive clinic and so on, there may be more benefit to that because you might be able to retarget the people, for example. So we would use video views, post some videos, build the audience, and then retarget those people with an offer, for example. You can watch a little bit more into the social media marketing for health practice owners. So now we've got something that costs basically nothing, but requires a lot of skill set. So before I go through this one, I'm going to say that I have not used this. I do know some people who have. I'm not a huge fan of it, and I think the way that marketing is going away from this type of stuff. But we've got cold calling. So there are people who utilize it. I don't specifically teach this, but obviously it doesn't really require that much. You just need a phone and a phone line, and you probably even do it online now. But it requires a lot of skill set. So you're going to have to, if you're cold calling people, you're not really targeting the right types of people. Like, I just find that it's just really difficult. If anyone has a specific strategy they use, send me a message. I'd love to be able to talk. But for the most part, I will draw a big X for that. Don't like to use, because ultimately it's not a good source in my opinion. And you'll probably piss a lot of people off, especially if you're building a community. So now when we get to the other side of the spectrum, we've got something that takes a little less skill, but costs a bit more money. This is where we're going to start getting direct mail and newspapers. So again, they don't require as much skill set. A lot of it, sorry, get centered back here. There we go. So what they require is you having the right copy, the right offer, the right message, a lot of the same basic stuffs that the workshop are, except it generally costs a little bit more money per client. The reality is that direct mail and newspapers are a good way to use offline sources. So people are always getting online-based sources. Emails are going to be, super competitive. It's challenging to get ads out if you don't have the right specific campaigns and so on. And depending on your audiences, direct mail or newspapers might be beneficial. So we have a slightly older population that we target with their newspapers that are local. And we do two things. One, we write editorials. So we actually have a column in a local newspaper that talks about nutrition, exercise, fitness, health, mental, lifestyle kind of stuff. So we actually will contribute content that way in order to provide value. And then we'll run offers. So we like to run advertorial based offers that basically it's like an ad that looks like an editorial piece in the paper. And we'll have a specific call to action that is different. So we use like a proxy number. For example, when we say call here, we use a different number that tracks how many people are calling from the newspaper or direct mail. That's one key that people will always say to me, well, there's no way to track it. Well, there is, because if I put a different phone number that's a proxy and it gets rerouted to my current phone, I could easily log on and say, well, I got 10 calls from this newspaper ad. And that's the only place that that number is located is in the newspaper for that specific offer. So we don't use the same offer forever, but we would, if we cycle the offer, we use a different phone number. The same thing with direct mail. And depending on how you're doing mail, if you're putting like random thing in a letter, it's not going to be as successful. A lot of the strategies that we use are borrowed from Dan Kennedy, and we use specific types of mailers in order to achieve a slightly different result. So you're going to pay a little bit more money to be able to get these things into people's hands. But if you've got a good offer, you've got a good attractive packaging, you've got a good ad written into the newspaper, you're able to get a couple patients. And if you really know how much a patient brings you in, it's going to be beneficial. So we might get a couple people signing up per month, maybe 3 to 5 from newspaper, direct mail, and so on. But our average lifetime value for someone who comes in for therapy, for physio, for example, might be around $5,000 to $6,000. So if we spent $1,500 on an ad and we got 2 to 3 people in off of that, we're still making money. Plus, we're being able to reach people in a market in a way that other people are not doing. Again, creating that omnipresence of what we talked about, being seen everywhere. People are going to see you as the expert, and it's going to help you grow and expand your practice. So the next thing we got with doesn't require much skill, but costs you a lot of money is, and this is really common with people, is discounting. So a lot of people are quick to offer discounts. And the reality is that it costs you a lot of money to do that. So if my appointment is $150 regular and I get 50% off for the first time, that costs me $75. So that's $75 for every person that came in. Well, are there other ways that I could use these other sources that we talked about where I don't need to discount? And I don't need to discount my service in order to get someone to come in. There's other risks associated. When you're discounting your service, you're getting people to try you out as opposed to committing to a specific plan. So I don't like to use discounting for initial visits, but I like to use discounting to reward commitment. So we'll reward people if they commit to a full plan of care or they commit to a full membership or continuity on their treatment-based plan or plan of care, preventative plan of care, meaning someone would sign up maybe for 6 to 12 months of maintenance. We're going to reward that because it's helping them with their commitment. So don't discount to get new people. You're going to have problems with tire kickers and people are trying you out. It puts you in a position where they're all auditioning you as opposed to you seeing if they're the right patient for your that. The other thing that people do wrong often is they do stuff like sponsorships. Let's spell it right here. So they do sponsorships. And the thing with sponsorships is it doesn't take much skill set, but it costs a lot of money. So we get people from running groups to local hockey and everything. Hey, put your name on the back of our shirt and so on, or we'll do whatever. The reality is that sponsorships done the traditional way are usually not that great. We go through some specific stuff in our Omnipresence marketing method as part of the new patient search to get the sponsorships to go from here to over here. We'll draw a little. So good there. So we go from there to there. There we go. And you like my drawing. Good thing I didn't go to be an architect. So sponsorships, you want to be able to transfer them to make it less expensive, but get more out of it. And there's a couple of things that we do, such as utilizing the sponsorships email list or contacts to be able to leverage and get exposure that way. So we go through a little bit of that into the other modules in the new patient search, and there's an article from I think 2 months ago that I went through just before the new year. So we got this so far. We only got a couple things left. So hopefully you guys are seeing a little bit more about how everything starts to work and where you should be focusing most. So if you have any questions about this, comment below or send me a message and we can talk a little bit about where you should be and some of the strategies to help you get started right away. If you want to learn a little bit more about that, just comment below or send me a message. So the last two things that we got here are a little bit more skill set and cost a bit more money. So these things here are going to be more live events or local-based events. So these are going to be things like specific running marathons and specific health and wellness-based stuff. So we've got health and wellness-based groups in Toronto, for example, where it's open to the community, and you've got a whole bunch of health practitioners. So you'll have anyone and everyone from selling supplements and smoothies to health plans, the pillows, massage therapy, physio, and everything else. And it's really a chance to engage with the health and fitness community in Toronto. So the big thing here is that generally you're spending a lot of money on a booth or renting a specific space or paying to get on stage and so on to do a presentation. So you're going to need to be more skill set and be able to communicate effectively to engage the audience, and also understanding that they may not be the most specific type of people who are coming to see you as well, because it's harder to narrow the niche as you can with the other workshop seminars and referrals and so on. So your ability needs to be a lot more specific here. You need to be able to be a lot more engaging, and generally it helps once you have some preeminence, people who know who you are in the community a bit more. So live events and local, there's some things that we do from like the health events that I suggested, but we're trying to build a bit more of a niche, and it's more just to be seen in the community to help build that preeminence or that authority, credibility, and expertise within your community. It's good to be able to film it, use it for content, and so on. If you're just starting out, this is probably not where you want to start, because it's going to cost you a lot more money, it's a lot more skill set, and it's going to be you're going to see less of a yield immediately from being able to do something like this. So again, if you're just starting out, delete this whole section from your mind. Start over here and then get over here, and we'll kind of graduate. So the last one here that we've got is we've got TV, radio ads, stuff like that, documentary. So again, this is going to be where you have more of a celebrity-based staff. So you've established preeminence, you're the go-to person for X. So you might be the go-to person for, like the massage therapist, for example, go-to person for post-pregnancy massage therapy. Or we've got someone who is doing presentations and they've wrote a book, they're now starting to transition into more of the entrepreneur-based therapist, as opposed to being in practice all the time. So there's very few people who are going to be into this category. I know a couple of colleagues that utilize these sources. They've been in the industry for long periods of time. They've got all the other stuff working, and they're starting to remove themselves from their practice and promoting it more, the systems and what they believe in, as opposed to actually physically seeing patients all the time. So this is obviously going to cost a lot more money to be able to do it. And we're going to require more skill set. You're going to need more network. You're going to really need to have those persuasive-based skills of explaining what you're doing. So taking the high level to eye level, so to speak, and helping people understand what you're doing in a specific niche. This takes, years and years, and ultimately is something to maybe aspire to, but you definitely don't want to be focusing on it right now if you don't have the other things in line. So this is the overall flow of what we'll see in terms of where you should be focusing. So to review everything so far, and I'm glad that you guys are still with me, because it's definitely going to be able to help you navigate. Regardless of where you are, you should always have referral and reactivation strategies. This is the absolute first priority that anyone should be focusing on. If you don't have this, you're missing a huge amount of opportunity, and you really don't need to put that much time or skill set in to get new patients from this. And ultimately, you're going to have better quality patients from this whole thing, and the follow-up is huge. So start here if you don't have this in place already. If you've got referrals and reactivation, it's automated, they're coming to you every single month, great, let's move on to the next thing. If not, send me a message and I can help you build this template out so that ultimately you've got this taken care of. The next thing I like to start is doing some workshop seminars. Getting something like this together is going to help you also build content, build some more authority, credibility, expertise, and can help you start building out some of the ads that you'll be doing subsequently. So again, doing a monthly workshop is hugely beneficial. We end up getting somewhere between 10 to 20 new patients per month just off doing workshops alone and being consistent with them. The big thing with workshops is consistency. It might take you 2 or 3 times in order to get the right types of patients coming in. We've got a template that obviously works a lot better. So the massage therapist that I gave you as an example, she went from doing workshops, was inconsistent, wasn't getting specific because her messaging wasn't right. She didn't know who she was trying to attract. And we sorted those things out, and we followed the template on how to, in 4 weeks, get your workshop fully booked and people with the right people who are going to pay. She ended up having huge success. Once you've got that together, I'd like to start doing into the social media based stuff, and because now you're going to have some consistency with new patients coming in, your revenue is going to go up, and you're going to have some money to be able to invest into this. Again, I've got to get an evergreen campaign going for this. I've got to make sure that I'm getting X number of patients coming in, my conversion rates and everything else are fine in order for this to be successful. So if you don't have these 2 things here first, I would seriously focus on getting these systems into place. This shouldn't take you longer than a couple weeks in order to set these systems up. This is something that you can do within the next couple days and start seeing results from it right away. This might take a little bit longer. But again, I could be putting an ad out and start getting inquiries right away. I have to have some back-end stuff in order to make sure everything's working, but ultimately I'm going to get some success. Once you start, you've got a Facebook campaign that's awesome, you've got an AdWords, or you've got a website or Instagram, whatever specific things you're using, then we can start moving on to the next. And we might take newspaper or direct mail or sponsorships, something along those lines in order to go to the next stage. But the whole goal is to ultimately get back to installing this system. So if I have 9 different ways to generate new patients every month, even if I got one new patient from every single one of these sources every month, that's 9 new patients that I would get. So that's really, really simple just from those outside sources. If I now have referrals and reactivation and I can retain my patients, now all of a sudden I've got exponential growth in terms of getting new patients, making sure my business is constantly going, I don't have any drops off, it's consistent, and I'm able to actually grow my revenue and build my business. So this is really what we want to get to. Generally takes people somewhere between 3 and 12 months, depending on where they're stuck. So if you have any questions about how to install this into your health practice, or if you want to get some help, shooting some ideas back and forth, what's working, what's not, comment below or send me a message, and I'll be able to help you navigate that path. So again, I told you guys this is a part of the attraction piece of our new patient search program. So it's a really, really powerful piece that once you start implementing it, you're going to have new patients coming to you who are the right new patients. We're going to pay premium rates. They're going to refer people. You're not going to have to discount, and you're not going to waste any money on advertising, which is absolutely huge. So if you really want to get some clarity, you really want to install some of these systems so that you have new patients coming to you on autopilot. Who are those perfect patients? And you don't want to discount it anymore, then send me a message, and we'll set up a time where we can spend a little bit trying to figure out about where your business is right now, some things that we're going to be able to help you with. Generally, I give you 2 to 3 things, and if it makes sense for us to work together, I'll give you some options based on that. So if you have any questions on this, comment below, And I'll look forward to you guys in the next video, where we'll be going over a little bit more on the Facebook, how to set up different campaigns for health practices. Thanks again, guys, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Bye.